On today's episode of the FYA interview series, we have got a special guest. It is our drummer from our East Memphis campus, better known internationally as a drummer for multiple R&B, gospel, and jazz acts. Man, Dave Mason is a fascinating guy. He almost didn't start music at all, or almost didn't pursue it professionally at all because of basketball, and you'll hear that story, as well as and what caused him to stick around at East Memphis, or specifically stick around at Fellowship after the guy who got him into playing at Fellowship moved on. It's a really incredible interview, and you're going to love it. Dave is one of the most genuine, just heartfelt guys you're ever going to meet, and so you're going to love getting to hear his story and what he has to say about Fellowship, about music, about basketball, all of that. So please enjoy it now. Dave Mason.
Yeah. Very different times, man.
Yeah, it really is. Well, and so, okay, for you, why don't we start there? It's the FYA interview series. I got David Mason here. He's a drummer at Fellowship, and we'll get into all the other things that he does. But clearly the most important thing that he does is he's a drummer at Fellowship by a large margin. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I guess you could say by large, yeah. No, yep.
I mean, playing the BB Kings is fine, but playing at Fellowship on a Sunday is clearly the highlight. It's got to be, right?
Yeah, true enough, because well, for the most part, all the guys that play at the location I play at are kind of close friends. I've been playing with them, you know, pretty much my whole professional career. So those guys that at that location is a big part of, you know, who I am and what I do. So it's always good. Even when I'm on the road and come back, man, it's just something about that atmosphere that's totally different than, you know, being out playing with others.
Well, so obviously I was joking about like saying that it's the highlight of your professional career, but it does seem like there's a special connection y'all have. And I want to get into that because Johnny mentioned the same thing we talked the other day. Like he talked about that being a family, and that when he first got here, that y'all all clowned him because he didn't know what he was doing. But
no, it wasn't. Why is he making us? He making us sound better than we are. We wasn't necessarily clowning him. We was just letting him know that you can't be slacking. We don't slack on this side, man. We take this to heart. So don't come in here, you know, halfway. He tried to make it seem like we was hard on him. We wasn't that bad.
Well, he also made it sound like he was just up there not knowing what he's doing. But Johnny's a great musician, man. Like he's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we, for people who don't know you or don't know your background, why don't we back up a little bit and tell us where you're from? Tell us about growing up in your childhood.
Oh man, I'm from like Covington, Tennessee. Like right outside, like about 30 minutes outside of Memphis. That's where I grew up, went to high school there. I ended up, drumming was not in my future. I was basketball. Scholarship. So the drumming thing was just, at that point, it was just me playing at church with my auntie. Just, you know, when I'm there. It wasn't no, I'm going to be a it wasn't no, I'm going to be a professional. It wasn't no, I was straight basketball. Basketball. And then got into trouble in college and came back home. And in my wait, in my transition, when I was coming home, in my wait to start the next semester, I was going to just wait and go back, you know, and continue the next semester. But I end up going to a rehearsal with my cousin who was playing for this touring gospel choir at the time, professional touring gospel choir. And man, I end up, at that day, his drummer had broke his foot or something, and couldn't come to rehearsal. And I was just there with my cousin just by happenstance.
Right.
And, I just sat in and he asked me to come up. He just asked me to come play, man. I played. And from that day on, I ended up going out on the road and didn't go back. I went back to school for a minute, but I had got so deep in the music game and traveling so much that my mind wouldn't allow me to be at school and do what I was supposed to do at school because I was gone all week and traveling. He was touring just that much that I was literally living out a suitcase at one point,
Wow.
just coming home, repacking, coming home, repacking, and going. So it's been a pretty long, different journey. I don't regret none of the turns that happened. The only thing I just wish I would have probably been a little more patient just to see how far basketball would have went, playing overseas a couple times, and doing. By that time, my mind wasn't into it no more. I was wanting to be full on musician then because I got locked in. So here I
Yeah.
am. Yep, here I am now as a drummer instead of a rich basketball player y'all watching me on on
Now,
TV.
now you're just a rich drummer.
No, not quite. I'm just a drummer. just a drummer.
So take us, talk about basketball for a minute. Take us back to you. You were coming up in Covington. Where did you get a scholarship to go play at?
I went to St. Catherine Junior College.
Okay.
To finish some courses, and I was gonna go to Kentucky to finish up there. Yeah, but I had a couple courses. I had some stuff I needed to finish in JUCO, before I could go to the 4 year.
And what position did you play?
Man, I was a point guard. Man, I wouldn't even. I was like the smallest, probably like the smallest man, shortest on my team because my whole team was big. I had overseas players. It was mainly a school that basketball players went to.
Right, like a prep school.
To go to that next. And it was mainly focused strictly on basketball. It was strictly focused on basketball.
So, I mean, for people who don't know you, I mean, you're not a short guy. So for you to be the shortest guy on the team, you're 6'2", 6'3", aren't you?
I'm 6'4".
Right. Okay.
6'4", yeah. So
wild.
I mean, like the small forward was like 6'8". I had two bigs. I'm telling you, the coach would fuss at me for going in the paint. So it was like because we had bigs. We was big, long. So yeah, I played the 1 and the 2.
Crazy.
Yep.
So you had an NBA size prep school roster.
Oh yeah.
That's wild.
Very much so. Very much so.
Who was the best player you ever played against?
Tony Depp. Hands down. Tony Depp.
Yeah. And he went to the league. He was in the league for almost 10 years, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yep. Matter of fact, he was at Kentucky when I was at the JUCO.
Okay.
That's where he was. So, in random passing, man.
Right.
I had because I played in high school. He was my high school rival. So I knew him, prior to the Kentucky and all that. I knew him when he was averaging 10 points and wasn't that dude yet. So,
right.
Man, it was a long road. And it's just funny how some you didn't even think can slide in and be your career. I'm telling you, drums and music wasn't even on my radar. It was not on my radar. It was strictly basketball. Strictly basketball.
Now, what was you mentioned playing overseas a little bit? So a couple of times you bounced back from music and gave it a go at basketball, right?
But my heart was gone by then. And now it's just I still play like community just to stay in shape because I don't do no lifting weights and all this. So just to keep my wind because it helps me with endurance on drums. So I play ball, full court ball, give me a good, try to stay active at the ball.
Yeah. All right. So what was the moment for you when because I mean, drumming was a hobby. It was something you did at church and probably for a favor for your family, right? For a long time. Like, wouldn't you say?
I pretty much. I mean, well, I wanted to. I
Okay.
wanted to be that little musician, at the early age. But after basketball came into my life in high school, I kind of like let the church drumming. It was just that was just it. Going to church and
I
playing. It
got
wasn't
you.
no. I'm gonna do it full time. I didn't jump into it full time until I got back home from school. That's when I
Okay.
went into it. Yeah, I went into it full time because I wasn't doing nothing, and it was
Right.
either that. It was either that or go get a job. Which my grandmama still was fussing at me to go get anyway because but in her mind, there's no such thing as making a living as no
Right.
music. So that's what I had to wrestling with that and coming home and seeing your family disappointed. Only one that never gave me problem was the music teacher in my family, which was my aunt, where I got the whole music
Okay.
side from.
Okay.
She never, she would never tell me you need to go get Dave. What you doing? Okay, good. You stick with what you're doing. Always that occurred. Now, my mama,
Yeah.
grandmama, you need to go get. You need to be doing something with yourself. You need to.
Right.
So until I could prove to them that I could do it, that's what I was getting every day. And it's and
Yeah.
it's hard to come home and you kind of seeing them disappointed and not,
Yeah.
kind of, happy about what's going on, wanting you to do other things, and your heart and mind is somewhere else. Real different.
Right. So, what was the moment for you that you decided? Like, was it a certain show, or was it a certain like? Was there a moment for you where you were like, "This is it. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life."
My That would probably be the first live video and recording I did on a professional on that major scene to see the reaction of crowds and the process of what it takes to pull off a record, the process of the rehearsing, the scheduling, everything that comes into the backline rental. This might not be, and then to go into that, with problems in the session, and this is your first session. My first session, we starting off, and on the first song, the organ goes out. So we shooting a live video and recording, and the organ goes out. And the youngest dude in our band, he was like in high school, probably like a junior in high school, Darrell Harris. He had to play the whole record by himself. That was his first one, and pulled it off. But those little stuff like that, going into your first session, man, is.
Yeah.
But just to see reaction in the crowd, and then to play a CD with your name on it, to hear the music coming off of it, and you get in your car and it's on the radio. I mean, it sold me. I was all in. From that point on, I was doing whatever I had to do, to make my journey easier and a professional one, at
Yep.
least.
So what? Okay. What album was that? What was that?
It's the
That you made?
Orlando Draper and the Associates, the Got a
Okay.
Feeling album.
Okay.
It was done in 1995.
Okay. And so you were cooked at that point. Like that was it for you musically.
It was over. After that one, yeah. After that one, it was over with. I wasn't doing nothing else but music.
Do you have a favorite show that you've ever played before?
Favorite show that I played, man, I would have to say Madison Square Garden. I played in
What?
Madison Square Garden for the McDonald Fest. There was this competition at the time. They would tour and they would go from city to city. And Orlando, the guy I was playing with was like the host choir of it. So
Okay.
he did like three or four of them, and one of the shows ended up in the Madison Square Garden, man.
Oh
And
my God.
Yeah, I never forget. I never forget pulling up, and this is when I knew it had to been real serious for him because he at this time he was in the game a while. He'd been there, done, seen and saw some things and done. But when we pulled up on the bus in front of the Madison Square Garden, he saw his name on the marquee. Man, it was just like he just broke down, and it went to a whole nother gratitude thing. And I'm sitting there like,
Man.
God, this dude is acting like this because of this. And I'm just this country dude, man. I'm probably one or 2 years in. I mean, just to show you, JD, how naive I was at first. I'm in this, and I'm not taking pictures or documenting nothing. I'm talking flying over the Grand Canyon, and he's trying to show me his historical points. He's like, man, look at the Grand Canyon. In my country's tale, not knowing I'm so green, I'm like, well, what's that? That don't look like nothing to look at. And I'm like, so, and what I finally realized years later, what I said when he said that to me, I was like, man, how can I be so? How can I be that dumb?
Hey, you must have been a killer on the drums if he put up with stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, you just don't know, JD. I mean, moments he would kick me under the table. We out eating, and I say something. It's just a whole lot of growing up. I had to grow up because, like I said, man, it was like literally
Yeah,
overnight. I was a basketball player who just got kicked out of school, and
yeah.
then I go from that to the next week. My first gig with him was in the Bahamas. I went. That's my first gig with him was going to the Bahamas for a week.
God.
So, I had to grow. I had to figure it out, grow up fast, and it all came, with
Yeah.
going different places and seeing different things. It all started to come. But at first, boy, it was hard. It was hard. No, I gave him problems.
So, I mean, for most musicians, they work for a lifetime to be able to get a week long gig in the Bahamas or
Hmm.
to play at Madison Square Garden. So, if you start off at a pretty high point, there must have been some big low points that came in your career. Like, I mean, because this is, I mean, 20, 25 years ago, right?
Yeah, they're 90. I played with him from 93 to 9 till he died in 98. So from 93 to 98, his
Okay.
passing in 98, I played with him
Wow.
those years. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty early. It's pretty early in the game. And with him, I didn't experience with him because he was so consistent and his gig was so consistent. I really didn't hit no downfalls until he passed.
Yeah.
Because at that time, that's when the real growth had to come in because that's when I realized that playing one genre is not gonna help me eat all the time.
Yeah.
I was just playing gospel music, and when he died, that gig was gone, and I didn't have nothing. I didn't have no experience in the R&B world, so it was like I was starting all the way over. I had to step into that field, make myself known, get network, get on that list because you have to be on the call list to even get in there because people have
Right.
their subs and their favorites already. But man, it was those like 2 years after he passed, man, was real rough because I wasn't making no money and all credit cards getting overloaded over.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was draining because I was used to a lifestyle, that I was already in. But I didn't realize, hey, you got to slow that lifestyle down until you get something going again. So it was a rebuilding process, but you always, it's always a hard time still.
Yeah.
You had a moments right now, man. I've had moments in recent years where it's like, golly, Dave, what we gonna do? But you know, he always prevailed. He's always had my back. I ain't never been without. I ain't never lost a house or apartment. I ain't never lost a car.
Yeah.
I ain't never had a reaper. So I mean, what my what's rough for me might be somebody's detriment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It might be so I when I say it kind of with an ease. It ain't so rough
Right.
because
Right.
I don't want to be like that. So, but you
Yeah.
know, I guess it would be like any regular 9 to 5 job. Some people go to work, hate their job, have a bad day, but on other days they like their job. You know.
Right. So how did you bust into that R&B world after being in gospel and really just in gospel for so long? Like what was your was there a person that you connected with like that kind of got you in that world?
Yes. Her name is Stephanie Bolton. She was uh doing like writing. She was a singer. She was singing around the city, but she was doing like writing for the R&B artists like Angie Stone and different writers out in Atlanta.
Okay.
So she was already like signed to a label here, a local label
Okay.
here, and she asked me. I played for her gospel group that she was in years
Okay.
earlier, and since she went to R&B, and she asked me would I play for her on one of her shows. So I ended up playing with her, and I started playing with her all the time. And then people started seeing me, you know, play with her. It's with Memphis, man. Is pretty. With Memphis, is pretty much once you get in the system and networking and people know who you are and your face and can put a name, you pretty much can work.
That's
You
crazy. And
you just have to get you just got to get in the system and prove that you trustworthy because they not gonna they not gonna call you if you can't be trusted.
right.
You coming to gigs late, not having gear, or do different little stuff. So you just had to get in the system, man. And I got luckily she was I didn't have to look that hard because she had already was familiar with me. So that was another blessing for me. So
Yeah.
my journey into the R&B world is not longer than most kids that's here. Mine was pretty short. Luckily I just fell into that, role.
Well, and you talk about this like it was like a luckily thing, but clearly you had chops if you were getting these different jobs, right? Like so what were your practice habits like? Like were you a like a pretty meticulous practicer or did you feed off of live performance? Like what was allowing you to develop so quickly as a drummer in this world?
Man, mainly, man, I just made sure when I when I did a gig, I made sure I was all in. I never I never cut people short, no matter who you are. You you can do free gigs, you can do paid gigs. I mean, I do free gigs. I'm not that dude that's like you can't call me, or
Yeah.
you might think that I can't afford. I'm not like that. I do them free. It does not matter if I'm free available to do a gig and you need a drummer and I do it, I do it for you, no problem. And
Right.
I'm gonna treat it like it's a big payday. I mean, I'm not gonna come in there and treat it any different. And I think that kind of like separated me because you
Yeah.
have some musicians still today. If it's not paying nothing or beneficial to them, they're gonna
Right.
half do it or half learn the music, man, or and
Right.
I just made sure I was always prepared. And to be honest, the little things really kept me gigging, not so much as drumming.
Okay.
I've had producers and cats that own studios that just say, "Hey, man, I always call you just because I know you're gonna be here on time. You're gonna be set up and ready to go. You're gonna know the music, and I'm not gonna have to worry about you." And it wasn't so, and not one time that they said, "Man, your plan is this, and I need you." It was it's more to it than just playing. It
Right.
goes outside of just sitting down behind the drum and playing. You got to have those other intangibles. If you want to do it full time, now if you just want to do it as a hobby, do it however you want to. But if you want to make a living off of it, you
Yeah.
don't have to do it. Yeah.
And I heard, so Simon Alexander, who you know, another drummer in town, Simon and I worked together at Visible. And, one of the things that Simon said, oh, did we lose you? Oh, no, we lost him. All right, we'll pause and we'll come back in a minute. We got you back.
That was me. I think that was me. My apologies. That was me.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So, transitioning to BB King's, like when you got to BB's, what was your kind of door in with them, and how long have you been playing there?
Man, I started out subbing. I was a sub at BB's in like 2000. It would be 2002. I started subbing drum down there behind Myron Howe and Marlis.
Okay.
So I would sub and play with different bands that come in, and then eventually I got the house gig, down there. And I've been playing down there since then, off and on. House band wise, I go back off and on. For the most part, it's a good spot to just have under your belt when the road ain't going. Other things ain't going. So I kind of like to keep that bridge open and don't burn it, because I can kind of always go back to get some little sub money every now and then. But yeah, for the most part, that was how I got into it. And then I started doing the cruise ship thing with them.
Okay. Now, is that how you got connected to Jason and to Jackie and the whole rest of the band that plays at East Memphis?
No, Jason, Jackie and them come from my Orlando Draper days, back in the 90s. Jackie was playing with Orlando Draper before me.
No, what? Okay, so y'all literally have been playing your whole career together.
Yeah, my whole career. Jason Clark, Jackie.
What?
It has been Jason and Jackie has been involved in my career, my whole career, professionally.
Oh wow!
From day one, yeah, because I came in with the choir that Jackie was playing for, and then I joined that choir. Then a few years later, Jason joined that same group.
Okay.
And then from then on, I've been attached to Jason doing things. He'll call me to do things. I call him to do. So we've always kept each other, always been a part of each other's, career musically.
That's incredible. So I didn't know that. So when you hear you guys on Sunday morning and it sounds so together and so professional and so like it sounds effortless, honestly, most mornings, that's because y'all just know each other.
Those years. Yeah, that's those years, man. Yep, that's not no 2-year bonding. That's not no we just met situation. That's a lifetime friendship. I mean, Jason is pretty much he's pretty much like that brother. I mean, because we've done so much stuff, music stuff together.
Yeah.
Toured and traveled with. I mean, I was responsible for getting him over to the Associates. I was responsible for begging him to come play at Fellowship. Him, just try. I mean, pretty much half of everybody over that's employed at Fellowship, I know him from that, music scene. Over in Germantown, I played in bands with Landon. Stephen Williams. We was in a rock band together, all three of us together. So, I mean.
Now, were you the first of the guys that play now? Were you the first one in that Fellowship?
It was me. Yes, if you count that crew, yes.
Okay, yep. And how what was your connecting to Fellowship?
The keyboard player that they had at the time that they fired, he called me because I was playing at a church in Jackson. I was driving back and forth to Jackson on Sunday, and he called me to ask me what I think about changing churches and playing. Which at that time I was ready to find
right
a church.
time.
Yeah, because I was like, man, I'm driving 2 hours, an hour and a half down to Jackson to play. And I was like, cool. And it ended up being there. And I get there and they fired him like 2 weeks in. And I'm sitting there like, man, what? I don't know nobody over here. What am I supposed to do? Like, well, man, I'm done with it, man. So we can go somewhere else and play. And I was sitting there like, well, we didn't get fired. I was like, I'm kind of happy, man. I kind of like, it was just I didn't know too many people over there, but I like the atmosphere and I like being over there. So I was like, man, I don't want to look for no other church to play it. I'm cool with this location if they're not gonna fire me because you brought me in.
Right.
Luckily they didn't fire me because he brought me in, so I was able to keep my job. And from that point, I got Doc. You remember Doc playing over there?
Yes.
Then I called Jason. It took me a while to get Jason because Jason had just been hurt from playing at another church. He didn't want to get involved. He didn't want to be in that. So I worked on him like a year almost. And I finally got him a cave. Then worked on Hurl because I'd been playing with Hurl.
Yeah.
And Kirk, been playing with Kirk, man. So, and then Johnny would call me and ask me, do you know any musicians, man? We need some musicians, blase.
Yeah.
And I just started shooting out guys that, I think could handle it,
Right. So what about fellowship felt, did something feel different? Because obviously if you're playing in churches all the time, at some point it just becomes sort of the industry. Yeah, it was a family feel.
Family.
Yeah.
The thing that grabbed me was how can I say it? It wasn't so much as, they don't treat you just like a musician. Mm-hmm. They care about your well-being. They care about, what's going on with you. Are you okay?
Yeah.
And me, and coming being a church musician, pretty much all my life growing up playing in churches. I done played at all kind of churches, Kojic, Baptist, Seventh-day Adventist, Methodist. It don't matter what it is. I played at them all. And to them, you just, you're a musician. He plays here. That's that. It's been some churches I've never said 2 words to some of their members because in passing is, that's just that typical thing. But when I got the fellowship, at first it kind of scared me and kind of threw me off because I was thinking that, man, are these folks just this nosy or do they just really, they really want to know what's happening with, and it turned out people really cared about what's going on, which even you have those random members like we still have now.
Yeah.
Hey man, thank y'all for playing for us, man. It's just, man, we love hearing y'all every morning. I hate when we get here and y'all are done. It's just little stuff like that. And they not giving us no money. They're not giving us nothing. It's just words of encouragement and just to let them know that, hey, you just not another fixture up there. We see you, we care about you, and we glad you here. And, so I was hooked. From then on, man. Fellowship had me. Y'all, Fellowship gonna have to ban me out their church for me to leave. The only way I'm leaving is y'all gonna have to have me removed.
Well, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
JD gonna have to call security and have me removed, man. I can't leave. I can't go.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you this, like we were moving from Birmingham, Alabama. We came to Memphis. I had been obsessed with hip hop music my whole life, but I had been trapped in all white churches my whole life. So I had never heard a church play music with some soul in it. And I had been to some I had been to some charismatic churches where there would be a lot of soul and not very much musical ability. Just a lot of hollering and falling out. Yeah. But when I got there, I wish I could remember what song it was, but I can vividly remember it was at Colonial Middle School, and you used to wear the red beats all the time. Because I remember being like, "Oh, we get the same headphones."
Yes. Yes.
And so I can remember you hit like a fill and a break or something, and I sat back and I was like, yes, because I loved there being, and because to me it wasn't that you didn't do that in church. That was show off music, right? Like that's not something that happened in church. But that wasn't the feel of the morning, and that wasn't how it felt.
Okay.
And I remember Johnny did one of his, like he hit the low melody in the first chorus, and the second time he takes it up high, and y'all just like everything about it sounded so amazing that I thought, like, I don't even know. This is before like Brian had even gotten up to preach. I was like, even if he's trash, we're staying here.
Yeah,
enough of
man.
this. So just know, you've had a big part in us staying in fellowship, man. Like you're playing.
It be, man, Jay, man. It be moments, and I know, I'm pretty sure that many of the members don't think it be, but it be moments to where we be up there and just get overwhelmed ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the flow, I mean, we'll get into a moment in the flow, and which is why I love playing with them guys, because they pros. You ain't got to you don't have to worry if this part gonna be right. You don't have to worry. Now, I give my secret away. When y'all see a few of us laugh, somebody has done something. So I go give y'all that little secret. So just so y'all won't think we laughing at a singer or anything.
Right.
If y'all see us laughing, it's because one of the four of us have done something that we didn't have no business doing. So I mean, it's just moments like that, man. And then the real moments where you be like, golly, this thing is about to get full, man. You know, and to have those moments, and to have four people that care about the music.
Yeah.
Don't just care about coming in there playing, being seen.
Right.
Care about how it sounds. Because you got to understand, we don't have no rehearsals.
Right.
So they sent us the music. Y'all sent us the music. If Johnny want to send us the music by Wednesday, we'll get it by Wednesday, hopefully. But if we'll get it by Wednesday, and we come in there Sunday morning and we play it, you know. So you got to be a pro, and you got to have trust to some extent anyway.
Man, I think that's a lesson for all young musicians who are listening to this and wanting to do this professionally. Like, y'all are all playing multiple gigs a week with multiple different bands, and you're not playing the same music every time, right?
No.
So you're spending a lot of time learning music. You're spending a lot of time practicing. So that, because and one of the things that Simon Alexander, who I know you know Simon, he works at Visible with us and plays drums at BB some. And one of the things that he said was, he was like, I'm not the best player like in Memphis. And he's like, but I get gigs where you show up, I'm nice.
Right.
I'm not trying to like overpower everything.
That is 100. I'm that same way. I'm by far, man, I can call out probably 10 guys. Well, no, let me narrow it. About 7 that I can, well, I mean, and when I say it like that,
I know what you mean.
It's more than 7 that I can go see, but it's probably like 7 to 10 drummers right now that I can go see in Memphis, and I can be like, but I mean, that's their thing. I don't try to be nobody but David.
Yeah.
I don't care about the newest chop. I don't care who's doing this. I don't care what they do. All I'm concerned about is what David can do and what David gets hired for. I stay in my lane and I do my job.
Yeah.
And that's why I eat. So I'm not concerned. Yeah, I don't try to be the best. That's not my job to say that anyway. Yeah. I just do what I'm supposed to do when I can, man. You know, because it's many more drummers in the city that can do what I do, probably better. But it's not gonna be David.
Right.
It ain't gonna be me, you know.
Well, man, we're gonna wrap up in just a second. I got a couple of just rapid fire quick questions I want to get your thoughts on.
Man.
All right. So number one, the biggest show you ever played Madison Square Garden? If so, I'm gonna leave it off the list. Like numbers wise,
I mean, man, well, I can't now because I've done. I guess I'm saying Madison Square Garden because that was probably the first big spot. But like I just did the Newport Jazz Festival, and that's major, you know. So I mean, I guess over time my shows changed because I started to do bigger and bigger. But that was the first eye opening. The Madison Square Garden, because you know that's a household. Everybody know what the Garden is.
Yeah.
Everybody not gonna know what Newport Jazz Fest is, you know, not right off.
Right. And for those who don't know, how many people show up to Newport Jazz Fest, do you think?
Oh man, I can't. Man, I can't even break into them numbers, man. I couldn't. Yeah. Don't make me tell no story. I don't know.
We'll just say 50,000. Just leave it at that.
Well, I know that's you being very modest with that.
Okay, well, we're gonna say 100,000 then, and we're gonna leave it at that.
Very modest, yeah. Because that's like a daily. It's like a 3-day, thing. Like in other words, it's like Memphis in May to like the 4 pound.
I got okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Crazy. So yeah.
Okay. So most famous artist you've ever played with?
It'll be. Woof. I guess it'll be between Robert Cray and Kirk Whalum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would. I mean, yeah. I guess it would probably. Yeah, I guess they would be. Yeah, that would be.
I mean, that's a pretty famous duo.
Yeah. It is.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. You might not be able to remember this, or this might not be something you can say on like publicly.
What?
funniest moment during a worship session at Fellowship that's happened with y'all?
Oh no, JD, don't do me like that, man. Oh, we got a lot of them, but to show you how big of a team player I am, I'm gonna use myself. I ain't gonna throw none of my boys under the bus.
All right.
The first song, I don't know you, and you probably know. I think the funniest moment would be with me was when I counted off the wrong song and started it off, and everybody looked at me like I was the only one all in. They left
I think I was there for that.
Man, because your friend Johnny changed the list and didn't tell me we were switching 1 and 2. So when I left the sound check, I'm still in what we just went through mode. Man, I get in there and I count off that song and go into it. And Jason looked at me. Jason said, "No." I said, "Oh God. Well, thank y'all for messing up my Sunday. It's my Sunday for the day." So I throw myself under the bus. Gosh. I won't throw nobody else out there yet.
Okay. All right. Maybe
but I'm just going. But just a little tidbit. Our saxophone player has a whole lot of moments.
Okay, so he's on my list to have on.
Our saxophone.
I'm gonna ask Kirk.
Love him to death.
I'm gonna ask Kirk about that because he's one of my favorite people on Sundays.
I love him
because
I love him.
I feel like more than anybody that I talk to on a Sunday morning, you never know where this man has been. So I'll say like, well, man, Kirk, how was your week? Yeah. He's like, oh man, it's great. I was in Copenhagen on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just got back in this morning. Jet lag. It's crazy. This is nuts.
Yeah, man. I love Kirk, man. He's by me being on the road, I travel in one of the bands he toured with, man.
Yeah.
And just being on the road with him, man, we can talk church life and we can talk to, the road. Like, man, he's real good dude. I love working with him. I work with him all the time. Anytime I can call him, I can
Yeah.
call him to use him, man. Because you know him, he's a good dude.
He's
He
amazing.
comes in early on 10.
Right.
With me, it's gonna take me about an hour or two to wake up before I can just, so our first services at church, don't tell everybody, which I'm pretty sure they're gonna see anyway.
Right.
I'm on autopilot during the first service pretty much because of the long night I probably had on this Saturday, man. It's
Right.
autopilot.
Well,
Autopilot.
that's something I don't think a lot of people know. Most Saturdays, y'all are playing at BB's leading into a Sunday morning, and you're getting
Or
off.
driving back in.
Right.
Yeah.
And and like I remember asking Jason one Sunday, I was like, "Man, why you seem so sluggish?" She's like, "Oh man, I hadn't been asleep yet." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah. He does it a lot. He drives back in. He'll come back in from New Orleans or drive straight into church and go straight to the keyboard. And I'll be like, Jason, man. I'll be like, dude. Ooh. But I can't hardly say nothing because I do it. I do it
Yeah.
too if it had to be done. But that's just the grind, man. That's just the
Yeah.
grind we do.
No, and I think for people who don't know that, it gives a whole different level of appreciation to y'all and
Yeah.
your professionalism and just that and what you said about you put everything you got into every session, like I feel like there's a moment, and I probably pay attention to drums more than others because that was the instrument I always wanted to play and I never could. My parents never let me because it was too loud. So I got relegated to trumpet, and I'm
Oh,
still so bitter about it. So maybe I'll get
yeah.
some lessons from you at some point. But I watch every Sunday, and there does seem to be moments every Sunday where you in a good way go off script and hit something that was not not part of the regular rhythm, and I love it, man.
Uh-huh.
And I think
Oh man, yeah. And that's the good thing about it, because anytime, man, if one somebody do something, it's like everybody's in tune, and it all of a sudden becomes a thing,
yeah.
and you never know where. Uh, I'm pretty glad that the handcuffs are on us a little bit, because we could get a little. I mean, if they really wanted us to get all in, we could really be, a little much, but. It's fun, man. Y'all give us just enough rope to do what we do, man.
Yeah.
It's always fun coming in.
Well, I've been talking to Johnny about this for a while, and I'll tell you, and this can hopefully be some fuel for people to get through this pandemic time where we're not able to be together. But our hope at Fellowship Young Adults is we're going to host a worship night one night where y'all have zero handcuffs and you're free to just go off. And that goes for everybody, because I need to have a night where I get Dave solo, and I need a Jackie solo and a Jason solo. Like I need to have them all right to see y'all really cut loose.
Oh
So,
man, that's okay. Well, shoot. I mean, let's do it. Let's do it.
okay.
Hey,
It's Dave. Remember him? He plays drums at church on Sunday.
hey,
This is my second oldest, Evie.
yeah. What the other two at? What the
Other
two that be
three.
causing trouble? They be.
He said, "Where's the other two that be causing trouble? Where are they at?"
Amos. Look, she know exactly what I'm talking about.
They're both working on homeschool stuff. The one that causes the most trouble for us is the 2-year-old. So she, and a second ago, you probably couldn't hear it, but something huge crashed outside the door. So I'm
It was
sure.
her.
Oh, without a doubt. The other two are working on homeschool right now and probably fighting, honestly, because that's how it goes with brothers.
Okay.
So last question, then we'll get out of here. If you're gonna play a dream jam session, put together a dream jam session with, and we'll say artists who nobody personally, but like yeah, a dream jam session with nobody personally.
What you mean, musician wise or artist wise?
Well, let's do, but let's say artist wise, because that'll be more relatable for people who are
My
watching
dream.
this.
Okay. Let me make sure I got the question. The dream artist that I would love to play with, or just do a jam.
Yeah, jam session with, because I think that'd be more
jam with.
Yeah.
Oh man. I would have to say Prince.
Yeah.
If I ever could do, I'm not that. I mean, I ain't jam sessions. I ain't just too hardly into unless it's done because it's musicians have took jam sessions to a whole another thing to where it
Yeah.
starts to be a competition thing and all that. And that's not what
Yeah.
that's about. It's
Right.
about
Right.
sharing, you know what I'm saying? And so if I'm gonna do one, it'll be with him
Okay.
conduct because I mean how and you ain't gonna get too much more him or James Brown
Oh,
between those two.
that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah,
I'm
so I
I'm
mean,
here for it. I'd buy tickets to watch it.
yeah, so I mean, so now if you want to say artist I can play for, if I
Yeah.
could play with one, it'll be between Sade and Michael Jackson.
Okay. I mean,
Either one of them, I'm cool.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Either
Well,
one.
Dave, man, thank you so much for coming on with us today. I appreciate your time, and I know you got a busy schedule today of other interviews you're doing and stuff. So, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And
thank you for having me, man.
We look so forward to getting to see you on a Sunday morning again soon.
Thank y'all. I can't wait. I miss y'all.
Man. Miss you too, man. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
A comment one day.